hey, Scotty, your hair's looking all right, mate.
I don't know about that, mate. It's fucking like Peter Andre was saying this the other day, Peter Andre style.
Yeah, if you do that, yeah, then we're struggling.
Yeah. I guess this is getting kept. Yeah, this is getting kept in again, is it?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
When you do that, you look like early Ronaldo. Remember Ronaldo made his debut?
You mean when he was ugly?
Yeah. All you need is some acne, and you'll just look just like him.
We literally watched him go through puberty, didn't we?
Yeah.
But
he grows into a man and then knickers off.
Yeah, there he goes. As soon as he's the best player in the world, he's off.
Sod's law, isn't it?
Yeah.
Am I kicking it off, or do you want to kick it off, Jay?
No,
have you sorted out the shine on your head? Make sure you're
in. It's as good as it's going to get, mate. Listen, there's no. I've moved around the front room. There's nothing I can do. It's,
look, Alex,
I need a bit of foundation on my head.
Look.
What's up?
That's a professional look.
Hi, kids. Didn't see you there.
You can tell someone works in
now it's time for Bob the Builder.
That's your Christmas present sorted, Jay.
That's it. Father's Day this Sunday. Perfect timing.
It's like 30.
Is it really? I bet no one in my house. I bet no one in my house knows that it's Father's Day on Sunday,
mate. So yeah, I'm not bothered, mate. I'm not bothered, but you know.
Well, no, you're not bothered. You don't live here.
Yeah, I won't be getting anything. I'll be getting anything.
Bro.
You're not my father, but
well,
yeah.
I've heard things. That's all I'm saying.
Right, before we open that Pandora's box that we don't want to do. This is Scotty and Motty. As you can see, Jay's drinking Diet Coke. Yes, again. We have not got Pepsi Max. Sorry, we've not got either commission for any of them. But if they do want to sponsor the Scotty and Motty show, you are more than welcome to. We're all for sugar-free soft drinks. And as you can see below us, we have a guest. This is going to be a new part of the channel called It Was a Very Good Year. And basically, we're bringing a guest every single week that's going to tell us why such a year was the best year for certain things. And this week, it was 2012. 2012, Motty, what do you remember about it?
Well, it was the year the Mayans predicted the world to end, I think, in 2012.
Yeah, it was. And the year of the London Olympics, where athletes were sporting heroes and plastered all across the press, and then football started again, and everybody forgot who they were.
It's also the year the bear fighting, bare-chested, horse-riding Vladimir Putin became Russian president, if memory serves.
Yeah, it was the year that Whitney Houston OD'd.
Oh.
That was pathetic. Whitney deserves better than that. Oh,
it was also the year Neil Armstrong took one giant step into the great beyond. If we're on that theme.
Good point. And perhaps worst of all, especially if you're a Man United fan, which our guest is, as well as a Cardiff fan, it was also the year that Man City won their first league title since I don't know when. But aside from all that shit and negativity that happened in 2012, we've got Daniel Winters in the studio with us today.
Who?
Daniel Winters. You
mean Martin? You mean Martin Winters?
Martin Winters. Matt Hancock said Daniel, didn't he?
Yeah, but then someone went on Radio 4 and called him Martin. Martin Rashford.
Alex really didn't get the joke at first.
Alex was about to say, I'm not coming on this show to get my name wrong.
I'm like, I was thinking Scotty's jokes are often a stretch, but I was like, what's he thinking? Daniel, is this Daniel Radcliffe? Are we going that bizarre? Because I, vaguely look like an old Harry Potter. What? I don't know.
If anyone didn't get the joke, then you have been living under a rock today. Daniel Rashford is the new centre forward for Man United. We are, of course, joined by Alex Winters. And Alex, I've been checking into your Wikipedia page, so you can tell me if this is all lies.
Yes,
you are a Welsh children's television presenter and actor who studied drama and theatre studies with psychology, smart ass, in Liverpool, before working on a range of theatre projects and supporting artists in the hit locally filmed programmes Torchwood, and Doctor Who. Doctor Who you were in?
Yeah, well, it's filmed in Cardiff, isn't it? We've all been in it.
I love the way you say it like, oh, well, because it's filmed in Canada. Of course I was in it.
Literally, I tell you what, so my Wikipedia page, genuinely, I don't know where it came from, who started it, or who wrote any of the entries, right? But that Doctor Who and Torchwood has bitten me in the backside. So once I got the job on CBeebies and, people got to know my face, they start then looking at Wikipedia. And kid you not, I'm getting messages from all around the world from Doctor Who fans. Which episode you in? What are you doing? Where are you? Is this important? I'll tell you what, I stumbled out of Cardiff University late at night after being at a gig, and I can't remember, it may have been the Chemical Brothers, I can't remember. And they were just asking for people off the street. They were doing a massive crowd scene in the dark. I just read it. Me and Mike's like, yeah, let's do this. Somehow that turned into me being some kind of supporting actor in Doctor Who.
Brilliant. Well done.
And I think this is the first time I've told the truth.
all your Twitter followers now are going to be decreased when you get off this show.
Yeah, unfollow.
When I did Celebrity Mastermind, and even Humphreys brings it up, and I just have to just move him on. Yeah.
What was your speciality in Mastermind?
Manic Street Preachers.
Of course.
It had to be something that I just knew every little bit about, because the truth is, if you watch Celebrity Mastermind, especially general knowledge, they dumb it down. But I had to be prepared, and so I didn't have long to choose, and so I spent most of my life, loving the Manics, reading. I knew what colour underpants they wore when they recorded each album. And then Chris Packham, who is up against me, in the green room, we're talking, and I'm like, oh, so what are you doing? And he says, I'm doing Rorke's Drift, which was Zulu, battle with Zulu. And I said, oh, so you have a big interest in that? And he said, no, to be honest, I picked up the phone, and they were asking me what subject I want to do. And as I looked down, there was a book, and it just had Rorke's Drift on the front. He just went, oh, I'll do Rorke's Drift then, shall I? And he beat me.
You're joking.
No, he beat me, and that was a week. He told them a week before. So we had a week. He went, and he just, and he's quite serious. And he said, yes, I just read about it for a week. And I tell you what, I genuinely lose sleep over it, that he beat me by 2 points.
At least, Alex, you didn't embarrass yourself, though, because, you could have done a Monty Panesar or a Ricky Hatton where it was pass. I remember watching that just thinking, oh, this is painful to watch. It's
Monty Panesar is actually worth YouTubing if you've not seen it.
I've not seen it, no.
It's worse than watching an episode of The Office, isn't it?
It's for him. I'm like, oh my God, please just know something. Give him something he knows. It's honestly, Scotty, you need to say
I don't think he got his name. He didn't get his name right. He didn't get a specialist subject right, did he? What's your specialist subject? Cricket. It's not Monty. Oh,
I've got on the card.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's absolutely golden. Classic television, that though.
It absolutely is. In fact, that's one of the first things I did up here. So we're talking about 2012, and at the very end of 2011, that's when we all trekked up to beloved Salford with Media City. So 2012 was just a massive year in my life, actually, and when I actually made it up north. And one of the first things I did in Media City was obviously I'd look around the CBeebies studios, and then Mastermind, Salford. Love it. 2012. 2012 is an important year, mate.
Okay. Well, Jay, you're the one who came up with the idea of this show. How do you want to kick things off?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, we've spoken about some things, but that happened during 2012, sort of music, films, sport-wise. And just start with music, really. Alex, why was 2012 a year that you look back musically and think, oh, this was a year that I really look back on with fondness?
Okay, so let me just say this, and Scotty knows this. Apart from the family, of course, two passions: sport and music. And so choosing a year is an absolute nightmare. It's a nightmare. And I said, Scotty, I can't choose a year with all three things: films, music. So I actually took sport as the lead. So I took my sport and events as the lead, and then I thought, right, what was the music and films? And actually, good choice, because 2012, I can't choose one either. And this guy was saying, maybe just choose one. I'm like, no, I can't, because it's the year I really got into Kendrick Lamar.
Choice.
Which is, that album is just brilliant. And I love the track Compton, one of my favorite tracks that he did with Dre. But also, this is twofold with my film. So Rodriguez, who was the Sugarman, and that year was the documentary Search for the Sugarman, which is one of my favorite, not just favorite docs, but favorite films of all time. It blew my mind. And I remember watching it, and I knew nothing of him. And I sort of felt a bit gutted because I'm, a big music fan, and I knew nothing of him. And it is just a brilliant documentary. And then I just got lost in his story and listening to his music. And so I have 3 albums. So that Kendrick Lamar, Rodriguez, and then this might be a bit of a curveball, but it's one I still listen to probably monthly. And it's Alabama Shakes, Boys and Girls.
Sorry, you were saying that. I think you were on Alabama Shakes before you were interrupted.
Yeah, Alabama Shakes. There's 3 albums that really stand out. Alabama Shakes, Boys and Girls, because Brittany Howard, her voice is incredible. And I saw them, I think it would have been that year, Glastonbury, on the Pyramid stage, and just blew me away. And it's one of those albums that I regularly go back to. There's not many albums that I do that with, that I can hand on heart say, yeah, I probably consistently listen to that monthly or every couple of months, but Alabama Shakes, absolutely love it. Incredible.
Would you say they're a bit of a cult band then, Alex? Because I think they got to a certain level, and I'm not too sure. They weren't mainstream, were they? I think they were sort of on the fringe.
Yeah, it was funny. And they sort of had quite a different sound, didn't they? Because they were mixing that sort of black Americana country, and then I think they would probably hate it if I mentioned the word indie, but there was something there. It was a real mix, and just her voice and those sort of slow bluesy rhythms. Oh man, just incredible. But that and Kendrick Lamar, that was really the first time I'd listened to him. He'd had a couple of releases, I think 2 albums before that.
Was it Good Kid, Mad City? Was that the album that came out in 2012? I think before that he released a mixtape called Section 80, which was the sort of first. That's got Swimming Pools, I think, is on there. Oh no, Swimming Pools is on the Good Kid, Mad City. But it was a great album, and it was just sort of refreshing to see during that time that most hip hop albums that came out of Compton were very glorifying gang violence to an extent, but this was sort of the insecure young lad that was sort of seeing it, and it was very much like a snapshot of a postcards from Compton. Hey, there we go.
There you go.
Where'd you go holidaying this year? Hey, Compton.
You know what?
Scotty got his new album title.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because when I went to LA, we drove into Compton for like 4 seconds. Yeah, went to Compton. Yeah.
You dress like a bit of a gangbanger today. That's a bit of a nice cube shirt you got on there.
Yeah, no gang signs.
What was that?
That's the Earlham gang sign, that. Hey.
Arthritis?
Yeah. That's the Where's Me Diet Coke gang sign.
Mr. Tumble.
Yeah. I've missed you calling.
Did you see the guy from the rally at the weekend who was fighting, who was doing all this business? Did you see him doing all this? Have you not seen it, Alex?
Oh, no. Alex, you got to see, he's the fighting with the police, all these right-wing lunatics. And as he's walking up,
he's doing it.
And then go
towards the police.
Yeah.
But someone's put a gif on it and it goes like this, like he's doing the fucking Macarena.
Please tell me the police just laughed at him or just took him away.
I think he ended up in a padded cell. If there's any justice in the world.
Do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. It all came to a head last week, and Thursday night I deleted my social media and I've watched no news. So since last Thursday to now, I haven't got a clue. Anything could have happened, and I literally do not, which is why I don't know about that. I don't know about Rashford today. All I've heard is that Rashford had the school dinners decision overturned. So that's all.
Right, okay.
Which is brilliant. So I don't know anything because it just, last week was full on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely intensified over the weekend. But it's good when you do them social media breaks. I like them, and you sort of some sort of normality's back in it, and you escaping.
Sad, and I'm sort of embarrassed to admit it, but I've never done it. So ever since I've been on social media, this is probably the longest break I've ever had, that's pathetic, really, because it's 5 days. So I'm like, I got to go and recharge. I mean, it depends how serious you want to get, because I outed a load of racists here in Boothstown, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So I did that, did my bit, and then thought, right, I'll switch off for a few days. I
don't think Boothstown's a place to start going around kicking out racists, Alex, and me and you the same height, mate.
Mate, if I tell you what happened, you wouldn't even believe it. Like, it got proper serious. And Thursday night, I left the house and I was walking around and I was thinking, I'm going to find me some racists.
You're all like that. Oh, watch out. He's been in Doctor Who.
They were like, no, the ton. Yeah, so it just, it was really, in fact, Davo Howarth, the artist, Davo. He's actually local to Boothstown, and he put up a wonderful. He's put up 2 pieces of artwork.
I know what you mean. The George Floyd thing, and it got vandalized.
Yes. So that's Muggins here, not me vandalising it. It's actually really sad, but a friend of ours, who you will know, Scotty, his niece, who is mixed race, put a post up, just a lovely post of that piece of artwork, and the abuse she got was unbelievable. My wife came and told me, and she then had taken it down. It was in a right mess. So I find this out, and I was like, right, I'm coming for you. So I posted the picture again, because this was on the local residents page. I posted the picture again and just put, I am gutted that a black 17-year-old member of our community has been treated in such a way. And there was a couple of kids that sort of, rightly so, had said, where's all the white older people helping us? And so I just put, and as a white middle-aged man, I'm with you. And I just thought, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to put it out and see what happens. Wow. I tell you what, I nearly said the name, but I'll just call her Sheila. I educated Sheila and a few of her mates that night. And it was all, I think if you just do it nicely, with a bit of intellect and actual education, you just give them enough rope and it just highlights themselves. But, and then you add all the idiots. No offense to you, but bald ones. Generally bald fellas. Bald fellas. What is it about with bald fellas and their penchant for racism?
Well, I'm trying to take it the other way. So
just trying to balance it out.
If we get more bald people who aren't racist or anti-racist, we might be able to stop the stigma of all bald people being racist knobheads. So I'm fighting a battle. I'll admit that.
Justin, you're fighting so many battles, mate.
I mean, follicles.
Yeah.
Follicles and fascists.
I'm going to get shut out of the gang for the gang sign. As well.
There's your third album title.
Yeah, follicles and fascists.
What's the other one? Postcards from Compton.
Postcards, yeah.
So much material there.
So I'm oblivious. So I was like, right, I've got to leave, recharge, because I'm going to be back on it. But I just left, recharged, just made sure that people in my community know winter's is here.
Yeah.
So I've switched up. And so this is like the first of the outside world I've had, speaking to you two.
Well,
I feel sorry for you now.
I know.
Yeah.
Where you bridge to the outside world after a week. Don't say
if we,
noticeable. We're lying about everything.
If we're your gatekeepers, it's not getting any better.
Please tell me Liverpool somehow lost the Premier League over the weekend. Has that happened?
I'd love to. Yes, they did. Yeah.
yeah, they did. But you make sure you just stay off social media for the rest of your life and don't turn the TV on. All right.
I think, to be fair, I'll be taking a social media break when that eventually does happen. Probably forever.
Yeah.
Let's be honest though, and if any Liverpool fans are listening, respect to you, but if they've got to win it, then winning it behind closed doors is the greatest thing ever.
Ooh, you heard that there.
To be fair, I think there's very few Liverpool fans that watch or listen to me and Scotty. I think the accents put them off straight away anyway. But yeah, you're right. You are right. I mean, it is almost, Oh, it's
hilarious.
But it's hilarious. It is as well.
I feel gutted for them as fans because they can't sell. Because let's be honest, as much as I'm not a fan of Liverpool Football Club, they have rinsed this season. What a team. Yeah. What a team. Incredible. We can all laugh that they're going to win it behind closed doors. But yeah, I do feel sorry they've waited so long and then they win it during a pandemic.
Isn't it like you get a pandemic, every 100 years?
It could only happen to them, couldn't it? It would only happen to them.
I know.
It is mad.
Well, let's speak now then about 2012 then, because while we're on sport, you were talking about the Cardiff Liverpool League Cup final? Because you're a Cardiff fan and a Man United fan, aren't you?
See, Alex, this baffles me, this, right, mate? Because I know you've got music and film, but you're a Cardiff and a United fan, and you've genuinely picked the most heartbreaking year for both those clubs, arguably.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a great year.
But mate, when you're Welsh, you innately crave disappointment.
Ah, right, okay.
And it happens all the time. No, so let me just say that because I get a lot of grief for that, and I'm happy to talk about it because they're like, we can't support two teams, and if you're born in '77. Grew up going to Cardiff City Football Club, and that was in the 80s. And my grandfather, he wasn't my biological grandfather. There's a bit of controversy behind that. That's for another time. And he played for Cardiff City, and he was on the left wing, and he played for us in 1927 when we won the FA Cup, beat the Arsenal 1-0. The only time the FA Cup has ever left England. And so I grew up going to Cardiff City, none the wiser of anything else. It's the only football I knew. And so I thought that all football grounds were just 300 or 400 people watching really muddy footballers kick a ball around. So then you get to primary school and all these kids are talking about Liverpool, Nottingham Forest and Everton. It's like, who are you supporting? And I'm like, Cardiff City? Because that's all I knew. And so I literally got bullied by Liverpool fans. So to this day, I can't stand the sight of that Crown Paints. If I see that Crown Paints kit, it triggers me. It absolutely triggers me, and I just want to go on a rage. It's hilarious. And and so I was babysat one evening by our neighbour, and it was the FA Cup semi-final, Man United Liverpool, 83. Yeah, 83, because then United went on to beat Brighton, didn't they? I think in the final, is that right?
83, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he said, who are you supporting? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I was like 7 or something. Who are you supporting? He's like, well, I've got Man United wallpaper. And you know what? That's the God's honest truth. And I went, okay, Man United. So I stuck with Cardiff, but as I started growing older and realising first division football, and you could still see it on the telly then, couldn't you? I was like, I can watch my team on the telly because Cardiff City were never on the telly. So I grew up, keeping my eye on United, and I had all kinds of family members then that I found out were United fans. I've sent Scotty a picture from 87. It's like
was it Norman Whiteside? Was it a Norman Whiteside goal? Was that
the Norman Whiteside goal was 85, and I've got the Sharp kit, the Man United Sharp kit, because my uncle was trying his best to convert me to United. And then my sister started playing netball with a friend of hers who turned out to be Ryan Giggs' auntie and then Ryan Giggs' mum and stuff. So then I was linked in. But, so I've always followed United, but there's no competition. So on the last day of the season at Old Trafford last year, I was there cheering when Cardiff beat United 2-0. So there's no conflict there because there was never any, they were never together. And people in Cardiff, there's more Man United and Liverpool fans in Cardiff than there are in Manchester and Liverpool. So I'm just generally honest. So I think from my era, we all had other teams. So that's why in 2012, when the Minnows Cardiff City make it to the League Cup final against Liverpool, it's even more emotion there for me because it's Liverpool. You know, I hate them because I was bullied by the fans and of course they're Man United's rivals. And sadly, yeah, we lost. But there's two things in my sort of football fan career that I've always wanted since I was a little kid. And that was one, to sing Abide With Me at the FA Cup final with Cardiff City, which I did in 2008. And people were probably wondering why I didn't choose 2008 FA Cup final, which was amazing. But I think basically what pushed it was I actually saw a score in 2012. So at Wembley in 2008, we lost 1-0 to Portsmouth. But in the League Cup against Liverpool, from singing the anthem, so the second thing I'd always wanted to do was sing the Welsh national anthem at Wembley with my team. And so I accomplished both of them by 2012. From the anthem, I was in tears, and it was a great day for me that day because I was already involved in media. I was already the bloke on CBeebies, so actually I was there working as well. So I was doing some stuff for BBC Radio Wales before. So it was like a childhood dream. If you told me when I was a kid, you're never mind being on CBeebies, you're going to be at Wembley with Cardiff in the League Cup final playing Liverpool, and you're going to get to do some radio on it. And then, in fact, the week before, there's a kids. Have either of you seen Match-A-Day Kickabout? The kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I used to appear on that with Ore when Ore Aduba was the host. Whenever they touched on anything Championship, they bring Winters in. Get the Cardiff boy in, get the Cardiff boy in. And so what was amazing for me was they sent me to the Cardiff training before they went to Wembley to the cup final.
Wow.
And so I had a chat with, I just got a bit emotional there. I had a chat with Peter Whittingham, who we sadly lost a couple of months ago to a tragic accident. Had a great time with him. He was always so lovely, what professional, and the best left foot the Championship has ever seen. And actually, he should have been Premier League all the way. Him, and then some people say he was the villain for us, but I'm not having any of that. Anthony Gerrard, who missed the penalty for us and lost, and I spoke with the boys. So for me personally, I was really involved with the team, the interviews, the atmosphere, crying because I'm a daft Welshman at the anthem, and then going 1-0 up against Liverpool, was bonkers. And then no matter what it is, whether it was 99 watching United win the treble or a couple of Six Nations rugby matches I've been to, nothing compares to the moment in extra time when Ben Turner equalises for us. Because me and my brother were thinking, nah, Dirk Kuyt comes on and does what he does, scores off the bench. And as he came on, I said to my brother, he's going to score. Scores, and we did everything but score. And when Turner puts that in, oh man, I've never been so ecstatic. It's a good job that there's those massive railings in front at Wembley. Otherwise, I'd have been on the pitch. I'd have been on the pitch just doing whatever. I'd have been like Paul Scholes when Giggsy scores that semi-final goal where Scholes goes to take his shirt off as well because Giggsy did, and then goes, oh no, I better not do that. It was just amazing, and that's also responsible for one of my favourite sporting photos ever. And as Cardiff fans, anyway, love it. The camera's behind the goal where Turner pops it in. There's a shot that goes right through the players to the halfway line, where Cardiffian Craig Bellamy is stood in his Liverpool colours, and he stood on the halfway line with a massive smile on his face. And it is just brilliant because Cardiff have equalised. And, you know, he was questioned about that a couple of times. You know what Bellamy's like. He's like, I literally couldn't give a shit what you say. He said, that was my home team. They equalised. I was smiling. And he said, didn't take away from my efforts. Because no matter what you think of Bellamy, if you need someone to come on the pitch and play 100%, he's going to give it to you. He was, and he almost scored for Liverpool actually, which would have been horrific. So sporting wise, that I will never forget that day. Never.
It's mad because I got into that game. I remember watching that game thinking, no disrespect, but you had no chance. And you made a game of it.
And didn't watch us.
Yeah, and is it Kenny Miller who?
Yes,
he had a chance near the end. I think, if memory serves. To win it. I think
to win it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was like, because I'm like you, I don't like Liverpool, can't stand Liverpool. So whoever they're playing, I support them. So I was a Cardiff fan for the day. And when, you know, I was like jumping, oh, go on, when he went through, and it was like, oh,
it was so close, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was so like, close. I felt for it because he was crying at the end when I think he was good because he didn't miss a penalty as well, I think. Yeah. So, and like you say, you know, no one's a villain in that sort of situation.
It was bonkers because we rode our luck big time because in that first half, they had Andy Carroll up front, didn't they? And I'm just glad it was Andy Carroll because Stuart Downing was beating, you know, one of my good mates, Kevin McNaughton, bless him, every time. And he was putting in, I was pretty much on the edge of the box. And Downing is putting in a perfect cross. And Andy Carroll has one of the most useless performances by a striker I've ever seen in my life. I literally, that day I decided I wouldn't have him at Cardiff City. Useless. If it was anyone else, I think Liverpool would have been 4 up by half time. But you just felt that there was is that possibility. And there was, wasn't there, right until that penalty and penalties. And Gerrard should never have taken that penalty for us. Never. Too much.
A lot of pressure like, on a young lad.
Yeah, and the problem is when I'd and you wouldn't mind me saying this because actually when Ben Turner scores, you see where his mind was in the lead up to that. Anthony Gerrard, his poor little lad, who was only a baby, was in intensive care, was really poorly. And so a couple of days before the final, I'm speaking to Anthony, and I can see he's distracted because he's thinking about his kid. So when Ben Turner scores that equaliser, all the City players run off behind the goal, and bless him, Gerrard runs towards us because his family are above us, and he's taken his shirt off like that, and he's got his son on his shirt. And so as soon as he walked up for that penalty, and I was a big fan of Andy Gerrard, as he walked up, I just looked at my brother and went, he shouldn't be taking this. He should not be taking this. The pressure was too much. And because his cousin stood there and he's taking it in front of, you know, his Liverpool fans, you know, from where he's from. Yeah. And it was just, I was gutted. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you know as well as I do how loud the Liverpool fans are in general at matches. They are so loud. On the way out of Wembley, you could hear a pin drop. And we had Liverpool fans patting our backs, shaking hands, walking out because they knew they'd, you know, stolen it. So
yeah, stolen you there.
It was interesting. So yeah, that was my sporting day.
You do make it sound like a magical moment, really, because even though you got beat, there was a lot of obviously emotional attachment, and because it was your home team and stuff like that. But you definitely sounds like a phenomenal experience.
It's that elation, isn't it, as football fans? It's just that one moment, that one release, that one endorphin release, and all it took was Turner to put that ball over, and you are literally it's better than any drug you've taken in the Hacienda, isn't it? It's just. You are there, and for those seconds, nothing is bringing you down until the penalty shootout.
Yeah, The best drug and the worst come down.
I've been there myself. I know it's different, but I remember when Liverpool beat us. And you remember in the Millennium Stadium, funnily enough, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
2001 was it? Owen.
Oh, the Charity Shield. Or was?
No, there was the was it?
It's a League Cup, wasn't it?
The League Cup was it in 2003?
Okay, yeah, because
or was it a bit later?
Which one? So in 2001,
or was it? I can't. No, I think it was 2008, wasn't it? Oh no, okay, no, not 2008.
Well, I was at the Millennium Stadium for Liverpool United, and it was the Charity Shield, and Liverpool won. But whatchamacallit, their keeper was man of the match. That would have been
2003, yeah.
2003.
Yeah, they beat us 2-0. And I think, funnily enough, Jersey Dudek was man of the match in that game as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's weird because more or less, didn't really matter. We went on, I think, won the league that year. But, yeah, it's just horrible. I've been at a couple of losing finals and it's never nice. But
go on.
No, I was going to say you go through it all, don't you? Go through all that emotions and stuff. My first ever final that I went to was at Wembley. Was show me age now, but it was the '93 League Cup final with
Sheffield.
'94, sorry, League Cup final. '94 Villa versus United.
Villa,
and we got beat, and it was just like, I was only like 14. I remember like just being absolutely devastated, and just didn't think I'd ever get over it. But then a few months later, we were back for the final in the FA Cup final, so we made up for it.
Didn't United have like a few years on the trot that they lost in the final in the League Cup?
Because didn't they play Sheffield Wednesday, didn't they?
Sheffield Wednesday.
We had Sheridan and Sheffield Wednesday in '91, but then we won it in '92 against Forest, and then we lost it in '94. So we had like this bit of a up and down thing with it, and then I don't think we were there for a little while. I think, and then we started winning it again in the noughties. I
can remember that sound. So for sport, I can remember sounds and whether it's the commentator but the commentator, for example, shouted Sheridan because it was a hell of a shot, and I think it hits the post and goes in, and I can hear in my head Sheridan, and you hear. I just remember those sounds.
It's funny that because me and Scotty know Brian McClare, and we were chatting. Brian McClare always tells me because he coached at United. Yeah. And he said the thing with Fergie is he never forgets. He said he was sat in the canteen one day with Fergie. This is like 2010, having something to eat, and Fergie jumps up and he goes, "And you in the fucking '91 final, you left Sheridan unmarked. He was your man, and you left him." And he went, "No, useless." And then just carried on eating.
And that was Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, it's just like he said he never forgot things, and now and again it come into his mind, and he'd have a go at you about it. Something that happened 20 years ago.
I knew I wanted to have a go about you or something 20 years ago.
John Sheridan there, you'd let him get past you, and he scored.
And that was stuff like stories like that about Fergie always reminds me of my favourite one when Gary Neville retells Cantona kung fu kick, and they're all in the changing room, and Fergie rips them all a new one, doesn't he? And then he gets to Cantona and goes, "You might not want to do that," and then that's it. Because Neville actually said, "We couldn't wait, we were all going in, and at last the gaffer was going to give Eric what for." "Nah, you might not do that, Eric. You lot." Wouldn't you have loved to be in that dressing room with Ferguson?
Yeah, I'd love him to be able to have done like a. I think we were talking about it, Jay, a few podcasts back when they did the Chicago Bulls one, the Last Dance. If they'd done something like Ferguson, have like a fly on the wall during the success years there, that'd have been gold, that, wouldn't it?
That would be brilliant.
Anything like that, any documentary of Fergie, it's just absolute box office. That sort of stuff. That's what made him such a winner, that he never hated losing that much, that he's just obsessed.
But the thing is, there's a few people like that you will hear the stories, but you would never get in it. So I had this on Twitter about The Last Dance. I said it was a lovely narrative, and if you liked your basketball, it was great to see all the footage. But as a doc, it was nothing but a puff piece, because you find out that actually Jordan's production company is partly behind it. And so if you were a fan, and I was a fan of the basketball back then, there were certain stories and certain moments that I was like, go on, delve in. So his sickness in Utah Jazz, where he says he was poisoned, no way. There's loads of people that say they were in Vegas with him the night before, and there's more to that side of him as well. And actually, they backed off on a lot of the things that you wanted to get the nitty gritty. His dad, the relationship with his dad, he comes out as a saint there, but actually, it was actually a really rough, tough relationship. And I think with people like that, like a Michael Jordan or someone like an Alex Ferguson, there's too much about them. There's too much pride. And so you'll only ever get those anecdotes. You'll never get behind them. You certainly wouldn't get Amazon cameras in Fergie's dressing room, would you?
Yeah.
No. Guardiola and his choreography for the cameras.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Nah, I ain't having that.
Imagine Fergie having a camera when he's booting the boot at Beckham and throwing cups of tea at people.
Because let's be honest, we'd probably find out that he didn't boot a boot at Beckham. He probably picked up the boot, went over to Beckham and smashed him in the face and put him in his place. And did the same with Yap Stam.
Quality. Like Scotty said, you've almost made me. He's painted such a lovely picture of it. It almost made the Scousers winning a trophy not sound that bad, which is a miracle.
But what was even worse in 2012 was obviously Man City winning the league, and I suppose we'll have to talk about that for a short while. So you'll have been coming down from the loss in the final, and then what would it have been 2 weeks later when City won the league on the last game of the season?
Yeah.
How was that?
What's the sound that we remember from that?
From that game?
Yeah.
Neville.
Yeah. Well.
No.
Who was it? Is it
Mike
Tyler?
Yeah, Mike Tyler doing his Aguero that Sky play every 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the funny thing about that is my kids still remember it. So one of our lighting guys, sound guys in CBeebies, season ticket holder at Old Trafford. He went out for a walk. He switched off completely. He said, "Winters, I don't want to know. I can't take it." I couldn't help but text him. So I'm texting him all the way through. He's going, no, you're going to jinx it. And it genuinely got to the point where I had my two kids. I said, put your coats on. We're driving to Old Trafford. They put their coats on. They walk in. Right, Dad, we're ready. I just went, get out, take your coats off. And they're like, what are you on about? I went, don't. Just don't. And literally in those seconds, you had that stupid Aguero. And you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
Mate. Do you know it's funny that because I was reporting, and I was reporting for local radio, and he sent me to the Bishop's Blaze at Old Trafford, and for the day, like they had someone at the Etihad, and it was like we're doing these reports, and it was watching the game, and obviously we're going in that game. You don't think we've got any chance that QPR is going to get battered and that'll be the league. And then we're sort of, the game's going on at half time. I think it was 0-0. I can't remember. And then it gets to sort of towards full time. And we're watching the Sunderland game was on. And then we hear that City are losing 2-1. And then it comes through that it's 2-2. But then the lads in the pub, all United fans, started singing Championes and all this. And I'm thinking, no, don't do it. And then it cut from Sunderland to the Etihad. And as soon as it went to the Etihad on the screen, like this is live, Aguero scored. That was it. Like it literally was him going through on goal and Aguero. That was it. It was like, and then all bottles and pint pots get thrown. And everyone's like, ah. And I was like, I was really in tears. It was horrible, horrible feeling because you built yourself up that much thinking, could we actually do this?
Chance, yeah.
And then after the rub salt in the wound, I had to go interview the United fans.
Oh, fucking
Tell me how you feel about this.
My missus was 9 months pregnant. We were expecting our first on the week after the City won the league, and I got absolutely fucking hammered after City had won it. And I phoned in work the next morning, rough as a bear's ass. I said, "Oh, she's gone into early labour. I think I'm going to have to take my maternity leave soon." So I took the whole week off work, fucking getting hammered. And she didn't have the baby. She was like 10 days late anyway, so she didn't have the baby until 2 weeks later. I said, "There's been like complications. I don't think the baby's coming yet. It's not having any of it." So I just like I pulled the sickie.
The longest labour ever. Scotty's
The thing is, though, it's still. I can get past things like this because even if United had won it, we'd still be looking back at that because it would have been the miracle of QPR actually beating City, and it would have been one of those great moments in sport. But it's actually an even greater moment in sport, isn't it? As much as it kills you, because
if you're looking from an unbiased position, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just, it's like the Michael Thomas Arsenal Liverpool. Literally, that is why sport is so emotive for me, because you just have the highest highs and the lowest lows, and the things that you just never expect. Like, I think we'd all agree, wouldn't it, for United, it's that Champions League final. You just don't understand this. It's not going to happen. I don't care who you are. I never thought United were coming back from that. I was stood in the Trafford Centre watching that because I was in uni in Liverpool. I was in the Trafford Centre they showed it on the screen, in the food area.
Yeah.
And there was thousands. It was absolutely rammed. And I've never genuinely, not since being at a Wales rugby match, News in the Six Nations, I've never seen so many men crying, and they were walking away. And when that Sheringham goal goes in, I mean, it was crazy. And they were still celebrating when Solskjaer went in. Half of the Trafford Centre didn't even realise that was. They thought
the second goal.
And you can't moments like that in sport. So, as much as a City, those people in that stadium that day, I mean, that's one of the greatest experiences ever, isn't it? That you literally lose it. You lose your head. That's why sport is so great, isn't it? It's amazing. I love it.
Alex, you've got a skill there. You can make anything sound bearable. Honestly, if I ever get bad news, I want you to tell it me. You made it up.
In fact, can you break it to us when Liverpool win the league this year, Alex?
Can we just get on a call with you, Alex, and you tell us it? Because you'll make it sound okay.
No one was there to see it. No one was there. Hey, let me just run this by you as football fans, right? And it's half an idea I heard from Colin Murray, but I'd also already messaged something similar to mates. I think they're missing the trick, and I would have loved all of these games, because so many of these games mean nothing, don't they? Because top end is won by Liverpool, and there's just a handful of teams in relegation. They should have chosen one home fan and one away fan to be in the stadium and put them where we can see them on the TV cameras, but still in opposite ends, and maybe mic them up as well. Oh, man, can you imagine how funny that would be? How funny that would be. I don't know what the score with City and Arsenal is tonight, but, Arsenal score, you just see this one kid going mental up and down the edge, just running. Oh, it would be brilliant. And hearing them trying to sing, but we can't quite hear them, but you can see all the, Oh.
And then he's looking around trying to get people to join in with him, and he's on his fucking jack.
Mexican wave.
But can you imagine how personal the abuse to the referee could get if you're the only fan? Because that ref,
and he can hear you,
and he's like, "Well, I know it's you, mate." And watching that fan give the linesman dogs abuse as well. Oh, they missed the trick
there, didn't they? They missed the trick there.
If that was the case, you'd look horrible as that fan because you're on your own doing it all. You'd look like what a horrible human being shouting all that abuse at the ref.
Yeah, you'd look demented, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you really want 70,000. It doesn't it's like it doesn't matter. But when you're on your own, going. Like people be like, look, he's unhinged, but that's normal, isn't it?
Because your team score, and for me, who would get quite carried away in games, I'm looking straight at the away fans. Yeah. And it's, in fact, I'll tell you this because Louis will probably be listening. I often go to Old Trafford with my friend's son, Louis. Now, he's in a wheelchair. And so we're generally behind the goal, opposite the Stretford end, by the away fans. Now, I went with him, I go quite often, and we went to the Arsenal game 2 seasons ago when United won, was it 2-0, 2-1? And until you've been to a football match with Louis Liptrot, my mate, who's at the time, I think he was 14 at this game, I saw one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in a football ground. Now, he's so into it, Louis. He gets so carried away, really emotional, really aggressive, that it just makes me cry laughing. United score, and he wheels straight out, straight to the Arsenal fans, because they're literally right there, and he just starts going, "Come on!" And you can see this row of Cockneys stood up, looking down, totally confused, because all they can see is a 14-year-old kid in a wheelchair beckoning them on.
And they don't know what to do.
They did not know what to do. And it's one of the greatest moments I've ever seen. And now, when United score, I've got this reaction where I grab his chair like that. Just come back, Louis. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, he's a bit older now. But seeing the confusion on an Arsenal fan's face, but that's what I love as well. The ball goes in the net, and it's like the only time in life, isn't it, that you would you're allowed to do that, where you just look at a group of people and go, yeah. And so I'd love to see that one-on-one in the stadiums in these last matches.
You know what? It reminds me of, I think it was in 2007 when we played Liverpool. And I was in a pub with my girlfriend at the time, and there was a load of Liverpool fans sat on this table. And I can't remember whether they had a goal disallowed or John O'Shea got that last-minute winner.
Oh, yeah.
And I was on my own, it was me and her, and there was 8 of these lads, and I literally jumped up and and then suddenly, after about a minute, you think, shit.
Tell the truth. Did you stay or did you leave?
Nah, mate, gone.
Me too.
Come on, we're going.
Cardiff City, bottom of the Championship. At home, we knock out Leeds United, who are top of the Premier League in the FA Cup. Last few minutes winner. I'm shouting like a loon in this bar in Tenerife on my own. Look behind me, like 30 or 40 Leeds fans. Ooh. Final whistle hadn't gone. I didn't need it.
No.
I just legged it. Yeah. Legged it really fast, but ran past them going,
brilliant.
And that big game is this Sunday. Midday kickoff, Cardiff Leeds. Come on.
Really? Yeah.
Ooh. Still got that to look forward to. When we talk about Liverpool winning the title, still got Leeds, potentially.
Do you know what? I wouldn't be about to not come up, because they literally can't help themselves. I mean, everyone goes on about Steven Gerrard slipping, but for the past decade, Leeds do everything they can to not get promoted, don't they?
Yeah.
It's
a beautiful thing to see.
It's a mark of Bielsa's team sometimes, isn't it? They run out of steam as well, so you never know.
The thing is, though, you two, though, as Manc boys, born and bred, surely, I think they're going to come up. I'll be really surprised if they don't. Surely you're secretly looking forward to that thing again.
Yeah, I am. I'd love Leeds to come up and then just finish 16th every season. That'd be absolutely fantastic to me.
I'll tell you one thing though, Alex and Scotty, and I've said this before. Scotty probably know. There's one away I will never do ever again, and that's Ellen Road.
Ellen Road. I
would have done it, and it was the worst. Oh, and I've been all over the world watching United, but it was the worst away I think I've ever done. It was I have never been that close to police officers in my life. I was practically hugging them. Come here.
That's all respect. That's all respect to Ellen Road in fairness. Because I said to my kids, you're not coming with me. Because we go to quite as many away games up here as we can. And I said, no, you're not coming to Ellen Road. And as much as it kills me, Ellen Road is just, what a place. What a place. If you want to be home fan anywhere. Elland Road. Even when they slipped down to, what was it, Division 1, was that? Did they slip down to Division 1? I haven't made that up in my lifetime.
I don't know. They went through, they skirted near administration, didn't they?
Yeah.
They went to administration. So
let's put it this way. Even when they were in the battle.
They did. Sorry, yeah, they went to the third tier, didn't they?
And even then, they had, 20,000 at home games? I mean, that's ridiculous. Their core fan is amazing. It's going there. Oh.
It's, this is amazing now. You've made Liverpool winning a trophy, City winning a league, and Leeds fans in Elland Road sound quite romantic.
That takes some talent, that, Alex.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to say this as an outsider, and you can hate me all you like. Right now at Old Trafford over the past couple of years, I wish we'd have had the passion that Leeds fans have been showing, because it's not been constant, is it? It's not been constant, and I think that's been a real. I know, obviously, it's what happens on the pitch, but there's been some poor atmospheres, and even, I mean, my boy's 11 now, but I've been taking him since we've been up here, and there's been a lot of games we've been to where he's like, "Dad,
yeah,
it's like the Etihad, and I'm like, it's true, we can't defend it. It's been, I'd rather have 30,000 really passionate ones. And I know that's a generalization. I know this because we've had some corking atmospheres, but in general, it used to seem like there was always a wall of noise. Old Trafford, you're going to get a wall of noise. And it doesn't seem that like now. Even going back to the Cardiff game at the end of last season.
Oh, I was there. That was terrible.
Me and Louis are going to the game, and I said to Louis, you know what, mate? I don't expect Cardiff to win today, not at all. But I said, I tell you what we are going to do is we're going to score. I said, because the Old Trafford just doesn't seem frightening. It's not intimidating. And I thought, especially from a United point of view, those players were playing for their place in the team. Cardiff turn up, we know we're going down, and we were all over United, and there just needs to be more aggression there. So actually, Leeds come up. That's a game I'm looking forward to, because if there's any team, when Liverpool comes, the atmosphere is going to be, fire.
I agree.
And I think with Leeds.
I get where you're coming from. I think the TRA, they've got like the new Red Army there as well. I've done a lot. That's where I sort of stand in the strap for them with the singing section sort of thing they've created there. And that's helping that, and hopefully that can spread around the ground. But you're right. I mean, in terms of sort of the one thing I will give you about Leeds coming up is it is a historic rivalry, and it's almost the younger generation almost forgets it. When I mention Leeds, because they think it's City and Liverpool. When I say Leeds, and who cares about Leeds? But it's like that always was a massive game, and you miss the games even if we don't miss the aways.
That's just a reminder as to how old we are.
Yeah.
On that sour note, Alex, right? So you 20,000 in 2012. Give people who are watching one film to watch, one album to listen to.
So the one album is really tough. But if I've got to choose, it'll be Alabama Shakes, Boys and Girls. I just love that woman's voice. The film, do I go with Wreck-It Ralph?
Classic. I love Wreck-It Ralph.
I love it.
Yeah, my kids love Wreck-It Ralph, and it is a good. I can sit and watch it with them. It's one of those.
Totally. Yeah. But I think Search for the Sugarman, which is just one of it's a documentary. Is that classed as a film? I don't know.
Yeah, you get away with that.
But that's fine. No, it's a brilliant film. I remember I watched that in Nottingham, and I thought it was a film just shot like a documentary, because it was just that absurd that this guy from and he was a cult hero in South Africa and was none the wiser. Have you seen it, Jay?
No, do you know what? It's one of those where I watched it once years ago when I was doing something. I didn't actually sit and watch it properly. I need to revisit it. I need to watch it properly because YouTube been raving about it, and I'm trying to remember it. I can't remember it properly, which is sort of shows I've not watched it properly.
I'm telling you now, you will get goosebumps. The moment that they actually get him on stage for the first time and he plays that audience, oh man, goosebumps, teary eyes, just amazing. Brilliant documentary.
That's why I've got an audience like that in Moldova, There's at least six Arcade fans in Moldova. I'm just hoping that they sort of populate over the years. So when I'm like 50 or something, I can get rolled out in Moldova.
Should we start doing this podcast in Moldovan? Or whatever.
Moldovan.
Yeah. Tap into that fan base.
It's a niche. Market's a market, Jay. We get like Moldova subtitles in the bottom.
Yeah, mate, I'm all for that. Listen, we'll
Tell you what, that atmosphere when our kid walks out in Moldova and all 6 of those people are screaming.
Electric. Oh, Alex, thank you. yeah. Alex, thank you so much for coming on. Are you doing anything at the moment that you want to talk about before we go? What's happening with you were doing Trash TV last year, or?
Yeah, I've been doing Trashed, and we've had a break. I think, to be honest, no, it was nice. I got out of the house for a couple of days the other week and did a bit of. I don't know if you two are doing BBC Bite Size with your kids at all. Are you?
I was trying to. Having to get a tutor in for my eldest because she's just not listening to her parents in the slightest.
Oh, mate.
Well, stick them in front of Uncle Alex last Monday and Tuesday, mate. BBC iPlayer, bit of BBC Bite Size. You might even learn something about the Vikings, Scotty.
Yeah. Well, you've just converted me and Jay to liking Ellen Road. Alex,
this has been the Miracle podcast. You've done everything.
Miracle Man Alex Winters. There we go.
You got any bad news? Get Alex to come and tell you. I'll make you feel a lot better.
What's amazing is this water's turned into wine. I don't know what's happened.
You like Marcus Rashford?
Got to give him some love. That's probably the best way to close it. Marcus Rashford, local lad. What a beaut. What a beaut.
Hero.
Hero. Talking about miracles, he's even had like City and Liverpool fans praising him, which is just so it's just a great game. So it's weird with Marcus Rashford. I think every United fan feels like this. Just an immense sense of pride that you're associated with him in some small way that, you know.
And you know what's nice is that the younger kids are. So my kids, you know, we're all adopted Salfordians. I can't say Manx because we live in Salford. But it's just so nice to see my kids and my little lad want Rashford on his shirt. You know, it's great, and especially at this moment in time. I think, you know, having a local black hero in Manchester in the football club, it's just amazing. Love Rashford, love him.
Definitely, that's been brilliant. So I've been Scotter. That's been Motta, that's been Alex there. And if you can subscribe, if you're watching, and like, but thanks for everyone who's been watching so far. Check out Alex Winters. He's on Twitter, usually retweeting and talking lots of good stuff when he's not fighting racism in Booth Town. But thanks a lot for coming on, man. It's been a real pleasure.
Brilliant, that, mate.
Thank you both.
Cheers, man.